I watched the Sandman series, I noticed that not only was the structure of Season 1 very unusual, it also used its MacGuffins in a very unique way. To reveal why this is so important, we need to take a closer look at this series. You see, in Sandman, there are many themes explored, such as family and power, but at its heart is the concept of change. Knowing your theme is imperative to understanding your MacGuffin and should be the most important piece of information that you as the director use as your creative filter for the entire film. To find this theme, you need to ask yourself, what is the deepest, most simple question that the characters are challenged by? Here's a few examples. Bullet Train explores the concept of fate. Reservoir Dogs, can we ever trust the person next to us? The Northman, the cycle of violence. But this is just the first step in your journey. Grab your theme and come with me! Next, you need to step back and create various ideas and arguments for your chosen theme that can be embodied by your characters. For example, in The Sandman, each character he encounters explores a different idea within the theme of change. The Sandman himself embodies a character who is incapable of change. This sets his need for the character to change through the story in order for him to triumph at the end. You're going to hear that word change maybe 1 or 2 more times. Next, we meet Constantine in episode 2, whose past mistakes haunt her dreams. This trauma has caused her to constantly push others away throughout her life, including the woman that she loved. This is in fact a very destructive way for her to protect that woman from her future mistakes. Constantine therefore discusses the theme of change through the question, can we overcome our fears to change how we treat others? Next, the Sandman ventures into hell, where he is challenged by the devil herself. This wonderful battle of wits rather than brawn is laced with the question, what are the fundamental forces for change? What makes this a brilliant directorial choice is that both gods battle one another and see themselves as unchanging beings. Ultimately, the battle ends in the Sandman's favor as he is inspired by the concept of hope itself, representing the desire for, you guessed it, change. See how it's all coming together? Now, onto the final character. The Sandman is pitted against a man whose life has been plagued by the effects of his mother's manipulation and lies. This lifelong betrayal asks the question, would the world be a better place if humans always spoke the truth? The antagonist rips down the social barriers, and the patrons in this diner act upon their every desire without restraint, and the episode ends in utter carnage. So even though it's a gruesome ending, these events perfectly explore Neil's question. We have these brilliant characters and a protagonist who all represent different concepts of change. However, we now have a problem. How can we get the Sandman into a deep conflict with each of these characters? Well, that bit is the easy bit. By splitting the MacGuffin into pieces, Neil Gaiman is able to force the characters into conflict in ever more intriguing ways, and this isn't even the best part. Now you need to choose an order of retrieval which allows the stakes to raise. Sometimes this order will be absolutely obvious based on the events of your story. However, I would challenge you to review this order and ensure that the stakes raise for each MacGuffin, otherwise you risk the audience losing interest in your journey. The most compelling MacGuffins are the ones which can powerfully affect all of your characters. Let's take a look at Sandman. The bag of sand allowed the broken-hearted woman to be with the love of her life, and this achieved her desire, but it also had an effect on her. She became addicted to it, and it cost her her life. The second MacGuffin, the mask, was held and used by the devil to corner the Sandman, forcing him to fight to retrieve it. The devil's desire here was to capture the Sandman himself. However, her endeavor was thwarted, and even worse, the devil was humiliated. The final MacGuffin, the ruby, has the most impressive power and is left for the end. This ruby allows the holder to make anything they desire come true, and the antagonist wants to make the world a better place by forcing people to speak and act their truth. Just like all the previous MacGuffins, this MacGuffin is intrinsically linked to the desire of the antagonist, which pushes the Sandman to move towards them to achieve his own desire. Splitting your MacGuffin is one great way that instills stakes and momentum in your film. However, it may not suit your story to have more than one MacGuffin. So what do? Well, to achieve this, you need something else entirely, which I discuss in this video up here.